Well, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm back here, Kitchen Table TCG, with a Flesh and Blood Arcane Rising market update. Hope you're doing well. Hope your day's going well. Quick thank you to all the patrons who make this stuff happen and give me the motivation to do this every week. It's a lot of work, but the patrons, you guys are the reason I do it. So thank you so much to them. Patrons get access to a collection tracker. This isn't it, but it looks a lot like it. Collection tracker that has all my market update information in it, and they're able to track their own collection with up to date to the week market updates from eBay, TCG Player, Facebook. You don't have to do the research. I do it for you. If you're going to sell a card, I always recommend that you do your own research, but because the market can change so rapidly. Anyway, that's what patrons get. That's a $5 tier to all those patrons. And then I also have that podcast that is at the more expensive tier called If I Were Investing, because in this video, I'm just showing you all the facts and the data. But in that other podcast, I share some of my opinions. So anyway, also a quick shout out to Mitch and Andrew over at Midtown Merchant. They're just great friends at this point. So I would really highly recommend that you order product from them. Order boxes. Sorry, you can't buy boxes from them. You can buy singles from them. And they've given us a discount code, JustLove10, that saves you 10% off of all your orders. Just one-time use, though, for that. And patrons, you get access to a different code that's once a month for 10% off once a month. So thank you so much to Mitch and Andrew over at the Midtown Merchant. If you can't find your cards there is a link in my description for TCG Player. You don't save any money, but it helps the channel. So if you can't get your cards at Midtown Merchant, use my code on TCG Player and you're helping out the channel. And again, giving me some motivation to do these. So, all right, this week we're going to start out a little bit different. I actually want to start out with Arcane Rising First Edition, which is not what we usually do, but honestly, there's a lot of things that I need to remember to say for this, so I wanted to get it out of the way so I don't forget, because sometimes that happens, because the market is kind of all over the place with this. So first off, let's, as usual, start with sealed boxes. Nothing crazy going on with sealed boxes of First Edition. We saw about a 3% increase over last week. We have seen this plateau. It seems like the bottom, of course, Channel Fireball has kind of put that bottom pricing in, and kind of we're still on that plateau. So let's go ahead and look at those sales for you. There was, a couple at $15.75. There were a couple at $14.75. I've seen them selling on Facebook Marketplace around $1,500. We saw a little bit of an increase in the middle of the week to $1,600 and $1,700, but we've retraced down back at the end of the week this week. So I pull my data always on the same time of the same week, so that it's kind of a good weekly update. So that's kind of where we are. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll say that for my predictions of things. It does seem like the market is starting to kind of stabilize and trend a little bit up, though, in my opinion. So anyway, we won't get into that. There's your graph. We had strong growth way back when at the $400 mark, and then it shot up rapidly, and then it kind of has peaked down, and now we're at a plateau. So anyway, use that chart for however you see fit. It's pretty apparent to me. All right, let's get to the Fable. This was awesome. We had two sales. One was on Facebook for $1,500 for the Eye of Ophidia, and another one was on eBay. It's nice to see a public sale of this card for $14.4444. Pretty cool price there, honestly. And this was a great sold listing we saw. Again, on eBay, you'd see this as $17.5. But if you go to 130point.com, you can actually see what it actually sold for. They use the tax information to identify that price. So awesome to see another movement in that card. This is basically following the same trajectory as the heart. It's just like a month behind. So it's kind of interesting to see that. Okay, so let's go to Legendaries. This is where I wanted to have a little bit of some conversations, and that chart's going to be to the left. Sorry. This is not a perfect YouTube channel. All right, so I actually had these for this week. There were some sold. Let's go ahead and show you. So I didn't have a sold for Teklo Harp, don't have a sold for Storm Striders, and don't have one for Arknight Skullcap. All these in red were current available on Facebook Marketplace that nobody had put as sold. So nobody had lowered the price. Nobody had put it as sold. So that's kind of the price that I'm leaving it at. But let's go to the Skullbone Cross Wrap. We had one sell on the 28th for $990, but then one sold on the 30th for 13 and the 31st for 14. So US dollars is actually pretty close to that 1600 mark, actually, I believe, because this is Canadian dollars. We can do it. I'm pretty sure it's close to the 1600. I did the math, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But I kind of left it at, on my tracker, kind of left it at 1200 based on that kind of the 900, or where is it? Sorry. Based on the 990 and the 1300. You could probably bump that up to 1300. In fact, let's go ahead and just do that. We'll bump it up to 1300. Because I think what I did was I saw that Canadian and I forgot that that was Canadian. So it really was a little bit higher than the 1400 on that top one. So I'm going to bump that up to 1300. The Grasp of the Arknight, similar stuff happened. We had a Grasp sell, where was it? For 900 on the 28th and then 1600 on the 30th. So, this was bids, and I would say historically, and every time I do the update, the lowest sold prices are always bids, and the highest sold prices are always buy it now. So if you're buying, keep that in mind. That bids typically don't reach that full market value. So I've got that the Arknight, Grasp of the Arknight, sitting at 1400. And that is based on that 1600 and the 900 sale. And then just kind of perusing through Facebook, that kind of seems like the current market trend. Stormstriders, Arknight Skullcap, again, as of when I pulled the data, there may have been something since a couple hours ago, but as of when I pulled the data, I did not have a sold listing for it. All in all, that puts our average legendary growth. We had a huge retracement. We had a couple of retracements, had a little spike, and now a big retracement last week, and then this week we've kind of been able to flatline. And again, this Arknight Skullcap, we didn't see a sold listing, so who knows what will happen if those start to move up the rest. But we're at 3% increase this week from last week at an average of 1380. And I can go ahead and fix this now that we won't show this the rest of this, but you can see the graph there. So we had increase down, we're plateauing. So you can kind of gain what you think might happen over the next couple weeks with those. All right, cold foils is where the most interesting stuff happened, in my opinion, for the common cold foils. All these in green are sold listings that I found. The two that are not in green, the Crown of Dichotomy and the Robe of Rapture, I did not find a sold listing for in my research on Facebook, Discord, on eBay, and on TCG Player. I may have missed something, but I just couldn't find those ones. The rest of them I was able to find multiple sold listings for, and I took the lowest, which is what I've historically tried to do on these, and I'm trying to keep the data pretty even. So a lot of them, though, I wanted to say this, were from the same seller. And what you have to keep in mind is that if that seller was misinformed and lowered the price, and put the prices that were lower than market price, well, it got bought up really quick, and then that's my new quote-unquote market price. So take that all with a grain of salt. I mean, like the Talismanic Lens, actually I think the Talismanic Lens was an eBay auction, and Bracers of Belief was also an eBay auction. So that's kind of one of those things I was talking, and I think maybe the vest was, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was these bottom ones, the Mage Master boots, I think 2 or 3 of the hoods. So keep that in mind that that some of those prices, I guess it wasn't as strong of a difference, but that some of those prices when sellers are listing them, that can kind of get into play where if they listed things lower, then that would reset the market price down, and it's kind of up to the determination of that seller. So keep that in mind. I wanted to say I think it was the Nullrune hood and the Nullrune gloves, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, I'm rambling now. There were also eBay sold on auction, and that was the Talismanic Lens. So whatever you want to do with that information, do it for yourself. In my opinion, sometimes the eBay auction just means that not enough people, like I've intended to list or to bid on an eBay auction and then just forgot about it. Whereas a buy it now, I would just buy it now. So just keep that all in mind. But the data shows 102.50 and 133 respectively for Talismanic Lens to Vesta the First Fist. All in all, your average price is down 8%. We had some strong growth, and this might just be market retracement on that. Your average is still sitting at $155 for those common cold foils. Okay, let's go on to the Majestic Rainbow Foils. So The blue ones, everything you see in blue, was the same Facebook seller and the same Facebook post. So just keep that in mind. These were not sold either. These were listed, but what I'm trying to do is provide a idea of what it would cost to buy or sell these, and this is what you would start at, basically. So in fact of the matter is there's so little Majestic rainbow foils put on the marketplace that the sellers kind of dictate, hey, this is what we're asking. So this is kind of where I put these at. I did want to mention once before we get into this high octane. This is one of the things I didn't want to forget. I've got this at $250. Now, if you do your homework and do your own research, you will find a sold listing at $160 in an auction with 4 bids. But I did not use this as strict market data, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Number one, the seller has a 0 rating, okay? And that's a red flag for anybody who's bidding on this card. So there's that. But number 2, this card has some damage. If you look at the corners, there's a lot of whitening on the corners of this card. You can't really see the right side corners because of the glare, but on the left side corners, you can see a lot of whitening there. And it's also just a horrible photo, right? It's in a sleeve. There's no evidence of the back of the card. There's some stuff on the top. So I would put this as like a moderately played, and moderately played at 160 with a seller of 0. In my opinion, that evens out the price of the card, still sitting at 250. We had a sold listing last week at 308, so I did not feel good about lowering it past 250. The rest of these cards were from eBay or from Facebook Marketplace. The 150 Blazing Aether was a buy it now accepted offer on eBay. Again, and I did not have data. I could not find any sold listings for Command and Conquer or Art of War Rainbow Foil. That doesn't mean that they didn't sell. It just means that publicly there was no evidence of them selling or people listing them or whatever. So anyway, 4% increase on the Rainbow Foil Majestics. Keep in mind that all that were in blue weren't technically sold listings, so that might be a little bit high based on those prices. There's your trajectory. They're just kind of going up pretty slowly, not anything rapid. 4%. I mean, these 37, 39% were pretty rapid, but now we're kind of seeing it kind of stabilize. So, all right, Majestic and non-foils. All the green ones were sold listings that I was able to find. The non-green ones are just last week's data. All in all, we saw Command and Conquer drop a little bit. This was on Facebook, and Art of War dropped a little bit. That was also on Facebook. This was, I believe, the same seller. I think this is where I meant to say be wary of the same seller and taking that data as gospel, simply because if they were misinformed or if they were just looking to get really quick money, that would lower the market price. So keep that in mind. 180. I mean, it was close enough to the 225 that I still included it as updated data, but just keep that in mind. All in all, your average is sitting at $51. You've decreased 15%. I have noticed a lot more of these selling, and a lot more people selling them. So keep that in mind. There's your graph, your trajectory. You can do with that with what you will. And then now we're going to get really into it. I know this video is going to be a little bit longer, and I'm sorry. There's just a lot of things to talk about this week. All right, so I want to talk about these. So here's the problem with this week's. All the green ones are apparently sold on TCG Player. And I'm going to show you right now some of the data points. Let me pull it up. So I'm going to go ahead and share Spark of Genius. That was, I can't remember. I think that was I think Spark of Genius and Ninth Blade were both on Facebook. All the green ones, though, were on TCG Player. And here's the problem. I don't know exactly how TCG Player works in terms of if somebody could buy a card and then return the card. Do they leave that data on TCG Player? Because this is a sudden amount of sold listings for the super rare rainbow foils. Whereas in the past, we haven't seen many sell. All of a sudden this week on TCG Player, like 10 of them sold. So it was a little fishy to me, so I just wanted to say that outright. This is the data I see, though. So if you look up Endless Arrow under your seller account, you see this. This is all I see. I see the lowest listed. This is for non-foil, right? I'll get to foil. I see the lowest listed and the last sold listing. Now, this sold listing gives me no data, gives me no date. All this says is at some point it sold for $10. I know for a fact that this is old because I check the cards every week and I see it every week. And this one doesn't really change every week. So this is the first time we've seen a sold listing at $150. And there's a lot of other ones that have a sold listing for like 140, but then the lowest listed is 150, and that's what worries me about these cards. I actually should have pulled up one of those, but I didn't. And that compares to like the majestic rainbow foils. The last sold was $47.50. This was probably months ago, right? Like months, 3 or 4 months ago that it sold for $47, and the lowest listed is 800. So just keep that in mind. That's why I don't take any of these prices, because I just take the sold, and I try to keep track of them and see when it updated, because I don't see the actual date that it sold. But what I'm trying to say is that like somebody could make a sold, could buy a card for $140 or buy one from a friend, and it creates this new sold listing for $140, and then they go and list it for $150. It's just easily manipulable. So we'll see what the market accepts on these cards. It just seemed like a lot of sold cards all at once. I'm not saying that the evidence isn't there for sold listings, but for these cards to jump up that high in terms of public market data, I mean, I love it. I love that there's that data now, but I just don't know how to trust it. So I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section on that. All in all, we had a huge growth. I mean, we had growth last week, and I kind of took a stab at some of the numbers last week, if you remember. But now the data is there apparently, and so we had a whole nother growth to an average of $97 per super rare. So keep all that in mind, please, as you're doing this data. If you're buying cards, just do you. The super rares, we had a 9% decrease. Nothing really huge to talk about. And the rare rainbow foils. Okay, so remember on the rares, all I do is take the average price of the lowest listed, and so in this case, sellers have raised their price about 7% on TCG Player for the rainbow foil rares, and your average is sitting around $14-15. And the same thing for the rares, with your average sitting at $1.54, and sellers have lowered their prices by 18%. The common rainbow foils, again, same thing. I kind of go through and take out any of the outliers, but your average price is sitting at $4.42, down 2%. And the regular commons, you're still sitting at 80 cents. You're down 10%. Doesn't seem like those are really selling that much. All right, let's get to the EV calc. We are super far in this video. I'm sorry. There was just a lot of data I wanted to share, and I wanted to give some more insights this week on how I come across the data. You all know what you get in a box. Let's go ahead and get there. Your box EV, if you include the chance at the Fabled and the chance at the Legendary and all the commons and the foil commons and all that, is sitting at $1,616.09. If you take out the non-foil commons, you're sitting at $1,402.99, and that's the one that we track. But if you're opening one box, your expected value without the Legendary, without the Fabled, and without the non-foil common, you're sitting at just under $700. So let's compare that to last week, 1402.99. Remember, we changed that one, so it's 1402.99. We're up 8% from this week to last week for first edition. Okay, we're now 18 minutes into the video. Let's get to Unlimited. I'll have left a little thing. That was just a lot of information. I thought it was really important to talk about. Let's get to Unlimited. Honestly, there's not a ton to talk about. Your sealed prices for Unlimited are still sitting at about $110. I'll pull it up on TCG Player. eBay's about the same. It just seems to be where the market is at $110. That's no increase from last week. The Eye of Ophidia is sitting at $650. And that's kind of up and down. 600 on the 22nd. That was actually earlier this week. 650 is kind of where I see this on Facebook Marketplace too. I know there's a damaged one that's selling for like 450 right now, I think, or something like that. 400, 450 on the auction group. So lots of stuff going on with the Eye of Ophidia. And then that's up 18% from this week to last week. The Legendaries, though, are all losing value and all going down. We have the Foundry Heart at 135, the Cross Wrap at 127, the Grasp at 120. Nothing huge loss-wise. All in all, an 8% loss. Storm Striders at 100, Arc Knight Skullcap at 175. Nothing major, just more boxes being open. Majestic Rainbow Foils, same thing, just a small loss. Actually, Command and Conquer is going up this week for some reason. Art of War is dropping down. I pulled one this week, so that sucks. But all the other cards still, really good value in there. Average is sitting at $37. We're down 2%. The regular Majestics are actually up this week with Command and Conquer again, really pushing it. I don't know if maybe this weekend, if that card was used a lot. I tried to watch as much as possible of the stream, but I couldn't really watch a ton of it with family stuff. All in all, a 4% increase. Nothing really to report on. Teclo Core up a little bit. High Octane up a little bit. All the mech stuff's up a little bit. And then Command and Conquer was the big one. The super rares, your average is down. This is like 2 weeks in a row that we've been hard down, 17%, and sitting in an average of 576, with a lot of them holding a lot of the weight, like Spark of Genius at 10, and some of them being at like $2. So keep that all in mind. It kind of is what it is. And then your super rares, the non-foil ones, you're averaging at around $4, which is up this week from 12%. Again, like there's no cards really to single out, but come the Arcanite, it's up $2, right? Like there's nothing, like the market seems super healthy. Lots of all the different classes are buying and selling. It just doesn't seem like it's being saturated very much. 12% increase over last week is pretty great. And then the rare rainbow foils, again, we have the average of the sellers are down 2%. This is the TCG low prices on these ones. And the rares don't really matter much. The common foils are still kind of your classic, or your equipment still sitting at $5 to $6. Again, no huge drops at all. A very stable market, 7% loss. A lot of that is due to the cheaper cards, and no real strong market movement. Okay, let's go ahead and get your EV. I know that this video is super long. I don't want to rush it too much, but I also don't want to keep you from it. If you're here, you get 42 rares in a box. You get 4 foil rares. You get 4 super rares. You get 1 foil super rare. You get 2 Majestics. You get 1 foil Majestic in every 4 boxes, as well as a Legendary. And 1 in 40 boxes gets your chance at a Fabled. That is my understanding, at least. And now let's go ahead and show you. So your box EV, including the Fabled, including your chance at a Legendary. So if you opened 40 boxes, you'd be at an average of $140 each. If you're only opening 1 box, you take out the Legendary, you take out the Fabled, you're setting at around $90, which is pretty close to the box price. So all in all, your EV chart at 139, again, like no change at all from last week in terms of prices. Thank you. If you're still watching here 22 minutes and 35 seconds in, you really, really care about Arcane rising prices, and I appreciate you being here. So, hey, remember to be kind to the people around you. Remember to love people well, and remember this is just a game, and it's not just a game. It's a fantastic game, but there's more important things in life as well. So, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you around.